welcome everybody again. I'm the Tech JD, and this is the Kev Dev channel. This is going to be the walkthrough of the React storefront that we built containing our blockchain LLC, or I should say our LLC that is loaded on the blockchain. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. It's on this channel. It's also on the It's also on the Tech JD channel. But anyway, let's get into it. Now, the purpose of this tutorial is we are going to be working strictly with Truffle Council. I think it's important just because if you're able to work with Truffle Council to basically execute a lot of the functions that you see in your contract that you might not necessarily want to execute in your React app. There are certain functions like the Crowdsale function that we built that are just not going to be available, such as if you want to check the rate, if you want to check, the wallet address. There are some other functions in here that just aren't going to show up in our interface. And one thing that I wish someone showed me when I was learning was how to access those functions, and you can do that with Truffle Council. So just to start, what you're going to need is you're going to want to install Truffle. The best way for me, actually, let me go ahead and clear this terminal and start a new one. It actually helped for me to download something called NVM, just because this is your node version manager. And what that's going to do is, I've had a couple issues with various Truffle versions. So basically, with NVM, I was able to download a couple and just keep working with it, keep messing with it until I got Truffle to install. Once it's installed, it's good, but to be honest, it was a little bit of a pain. So very first thing you want to do, just check your version. Right now my version 17.5.0. The one I use is NVM use 12.18. All right, so we're good to go. A couple other things that you're going to want to make sure you have for this project. So once you have Truffle installed, what you're going to also need is you're going to go on to, I think, do a command. It's Truffle unbox React. I'm not going to do it, but you're going to want to use React for your React app. Obviously, you're not going to need it for the Truffle Council, but when you're building your decentralized applications, you want to have that. So we'll put that to the side for now. Okay, so once you have Truffle installed, you are going to go to Truffle Council. Actually, let me back up. Okay, so what you're first going to want to do is you are going to want to compile all of your contracts, right? I believe it's going to tell me there's nothing to compile, but just so you can see what it looks like, you need to compile all your Solidity files. Right, okay, so that's done. Like I said, everything's up to date. I didn't change anything, so that's all that means. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to migrate it to the network that you want to use. Now, this is a little bit different. You can migrate your contracts. Let's say you were using something like Ganache CLI. I can probably do a side video on Ganache CLI. But with Ganache CLI, it's kind of nice when you're just kind of starting to play around with the command line interface and just seeing how it works, and just having that kind of private server running for you where you got like an unlimited amount of ether. It gives you like 100 per account. It's really nice. But in this case, sometimes you want to see how it interacts with a real blockchain. So there's a couple things that you need to do before you even get to this step. And let's turn to, let's see. Our Truffle config file. Okay. So there are a couple things in the Truffle config file. You also need to make sure that in order for this to work, you need to npm install your Truffle HD wallet provider. Make sure to install that or it's not going to work. Let's see, just make sure there are any other things that we want to make sure that we have. This code's all going to be available in my repository. But as you can see, I've got a couple dependencies that you'll need to install. It's good practice, just, you know, any changes that you make, just make sure that they're all installed before, like, say something's not working for you and you're wondering why. You might not have all your dependencies in, but if you just download my repository, that should work for you. So you say we've got Truffle HD wallet providers, what we need. We've got React, we've got Web3, we've got pretty much everything that we need. Okay. So returning to the Truffle config, what we're looking at right now is you've got your mnemonic setup. Your mnemonic is going to be in your env file, right? And that mnemonic is going to be the same mnemonic that will appear in your MetaMask wallet. We'll be using MetaMask, but it's that 12-word mnemonic. So you just want to put it in your env file. Mnemonic equals that 12-word phrase. And for whatever reason, this actually helped me out. I have a count index set to 1, just because as an array in my account, the account that I usually launch these contracts with is my second one, and that's what got it to work. So that's just what that 1 and that account index is. Next thing that you're gonna need, and just a quick recap if you kind of know all this already, but I'll be using Rinkeby, and I'll be using Infura's test network. So another thing that you're gonna need is to make sure that, let's get into my dashboard real quick. You need to, I already made a project, but as you can see, you just go in and you create a new project. See, project settings, and this is where like your project ID is, and got your Rinkeby endpoint, right? And this is just what you're gonna use. You copy that, and it just goes there. All right. Couple other notes when it comes to compiling. Sometimes it helps to specify the version. One thing I noticed with Truffle is that Truffle will use whatever compiler, whatever solc version, you know, works best for it. Like if you look, I think it's Truffle versions. Let's see if that works. Okay, so you can see all the versions that Truffle is using. It was actually a different version of Solidity before I specified what it would be. Um, but anyway, I have to get rid of that. Okay, so what we're gonna go ahead and do next is, I believe everything is set up. Everything is compiled. Everything is good to go. The Truffle config file is good to go. I think you've got everything that you need. Deployed. Okay, good to go. I'll expand this window a little bit just so you can see. Okay, cool. All right, so Truffle Console, the way you access your Infura Rinkeby network is you're gonna go Truffle Console network, spell it right, network Rinkeby. Should be no issues. Bam. Okay. So as you can see, we're in Truffle Rinkeby. Accounts. Your accounts show up. So it gives you, this is actually the only one. So when I set it to that account index, this is my real address, right? Well, my real test address, and then it gives you a couple more to work with, but we really only need this one. Now what you're doing essentially when you're in Truffle Console is you are going to create an instance of your contract, and you're going to create an instance of your contract, and you are going to be able to access all the functions of whatever's within that contract, right? So in the case of this ongoing Crowdsale project that we've been working on, there are a couple contracts that you'll be able to interact with. You've got token.sol, you've got my token sale, and you've got KYC contracts. Just as a side note, I had to basically copy and paste basically the Open Zeppelin version of Crowdsale just because it wasn't importing for me. So that's the only reason that one's showing up. But the three contracts that we're going to be working with are going to be KYC contract, my token sale, and token.sol, right? Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is, if you want to, say you want to see what token was deployed, you can do that by creating an instance like so. Await token deployed. Okay, and then it comes up undefined, but if you did something like token.address, it comes up. That's our token address. Token name. You can see the token name, token symbol. That all comes up, and where I'm getting that from is you're gonna see a pattern while I'm coding through this and working with the console. Is you're really just taking what you've already written and you're just putting it in the console, right? When I first started, that didn't really make all that much sense to me until I played around with it a little bit. So hopefully during this tutorial, a light bulb will go off for you if it hasn't already. Okay, so we've got our accounts all set up. You're able to see what token that we've got deployed just to make sure we're in the right place. Next thing you're going to want to do is you are going to want to get these contract instances the exact same way that this is like in our React app. We're literally just it's very simple. We're literally just taking all this and we're applying it to the console. Okay, so what's next is we want to set our network ID, and just so you can just so I can show you why you need to set all these instances. If I hit network ID right now, it's gonna say uncaught reference error, network ID is not defined. Okay, so you want to go ahead and set that. Let network ID equal await web3 dot eth dot net dot get ID. Oops. Okay, and when I do network ID, close my eyes, it should come up 4. Yep, and that's because RinkB's network ID is 4. All right, so we're in the right place. So far, so good. Okay. So what I like to do, you could set a token instance if you wanted to kind of see. Actually, let's go ahead and do it. Because this token instance, this function this instance that you're creating right now, just to make sure that you are in the right place and everything's working the way it should, this token instance should equal the address of that token address, right? Which is exactly the way it should work. So that'd be pretty cool. Okay, so let's do this. Let token instance equal new web3.eth.contract token.networks network ID and networks with network ID in brackets dot address is just the address of your token. So if I don't have any spelling errors when I hit enter, this should come up with a bunch of stuff when I call it. Okay, so the instance shows this is your contract. Get used to kind of looking through this, because it's going to tell you everything that you need to know in terms of what type of functions can you call, what properties can you access. When you're debugging and you're trying to figure out like what's going on when you're testing, it's going to be very helpful, just to see. And it's basically all there in the instance. So that worked. All right, so let's make sure. Why did I do that? Token networks network ID dot address. Okay, so as I said, just as we're checking, token.networks in brackets network ID dot address equals, actually let me stop being lazy. Token dot address. Got it? Okay, so they're equal. So we know we're working in the right place. Now we want to get an instance of our Crowdsale contract. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay. Let token sale instance equal new web3 dot contract dot EBI my token sale dot networks network ID and my token sale dot networks network ID dot address. Did I do it right? Let's see. Yep. Okay, so on to calling a function. Now the last one that you can load, if I was experimenting with addresses wallet addresses that were not whitelisted on my demo contract, I would show you how to do this too. But basically, just as a quick review, it's really the same. It's really the function that we have is set KYC completed. You're passing in an address, and you're sending it to the contract. And as we could imagine, it looks just like this. So it's the same. Like I said, very simple. It's the reason why I like Truffle Console. It just took me a while to kind of, play around and see how it works. But okay, so let's play with some of the functions that we have with Crowdsale, just to really drive home the point of what you can do with it. So with our Crowdsale contract, you have some important functions. You have buy tokens. That's probably the most important one. You've got some internal functions that, as you can see, they basically it's how buy tokens runs. But you're not going to be able to, with these internal functions, the difference is you're not going to be able to access them from the outside. And the reason why I like to bring up the contract instance down here is you can see exactly what functions are available here. So you see buy tokens is one, rate is one, token is one, way raised is one, receive is your fallback function. But you don't see any of these others. It's because they're internal. Post validate purchase, pre-validate purchase, process purchase, deliver tokens, get token, forward funds, all that's internal. It's not meant to be accessed anywhere else. Let's buy some tokens first and then check way raised. Now, just to show you how to do it, let's say, all right, await token sale. I could literally just copy and paste it, but I'm already typing, so you know how it goes. Way raised dot call. Bam. Okay, so if we checked my instance of the contract, it should be the same. Bam. So that huge number basically boils down to 0.015 ether. So that it's literally all that is, right? So that's how you call a function. I can also buy tokens, right? Just for, kicks and giggles, let's check the balance of tokens. I believe for this account it's gonna be 0. I don't think I bought any with this one. Did I spell everything right? 0. Yep. Okay, and just as a quick side note, you can also check, I believe it's web3.eth get balance, and I can go accounts 0. I'm doing that from memory, so hopefully I got it. Okay, cool. So with that account 0, you can also check the balance of any of the accounts in that array, right? Just for fun, let's check the second one, because I know that's like a test account. I wonder how much you get. 0. Okay, so there's nothing in that test account that Truffle made for me. So cool. So now we know my balance. Remember that number. So let's send some of that. Let's go ahead and send some of that just to show you that it works. Okay, let's set a transfer amount. Let's say the transfer amount I want to send is transfer amount I want to send. Let's send like 0.05. All right. Sanity check. It's there. So when I'm in council, maybe this is the wrong thing, but I never have to use this. So if you're copy and pasting like I do, and you forget to put it there, you get that error. Okay. Await, and only one await, right? Okay, perfect. Let's go. Okay, cool. So it went through. You can see indeed, you can see that amount was sent to, this is the contract address. And this is our token address. Purchase tokens. Okay. And we can check some stuff. Let's see. Yep. So let's make sure we've got the tokens. And bam. So you see we've got the tokens. I was a little apprehensive about testing from this account, just because this is also the account that receives the money, receives the Ethereum, right? So let's see what our balance is. Like, I wonder if it's because it got charged gas, but it's also receiving money for its own sale, right? So let's see. Okay, so it did go down a little bit, and I'm assuming that is to account for, because it basically sent itself some money. All right, so that's how you access the functions within your contract. Hopefully it simplified some things. You wouldn't, you going through it seems like it's very simple, but it's not necessarily that intuitive. But once you play around with it and you're kind of comfortable with Truffle Console, you'll see that it's just a lot easier to work with a lot of times, and that's what I do. All right. Either way, if you got questions, drop them in the comment section, and I'll do my best to help.